Let's switch gears over to now that Teddy Bridgewater, now that Panthers made a move for Sam Darnold. It looks like Teddy Bridgewater's out the door. There's been a lot of reports that there's been some teams interested that include the Niners, the Broncos, the Saints, the Vikings, and even I think even the Bears have shown interest. Where do you think Teddy Bridgewater ends up now that the Panthers draft or traded for Sam Darnold?
I think he could be a good bridge quarterback for Chicago. I think that'd probably be the best fit for him.
Well, they'd have to figure out how to get rid of Nick Foles. Now, they'll keep Andy Dalton, and they're probably not going to draft a quarterback with the 20th overall pick because most likely not a lot of quarterbacks are going to be available by the time the Panthers get it, or by the time the Bears select. But I mean, they'd have to likely release Nick Foles, and they would have to eat up that contract. And I think they're still afraid of that. So I think they want to keep Nick Foles for at least one more year. In my opinion, I like Teddy Bridgewater a lot, so I don't want him to go to the Bears. I could see him going to Denver. Now, that's not much of an upgrade, I guess, in terms of quarterbacks, but they have a lot of options there. They got Melvin Gordon and Royce Freeman. They got a great receiving core in Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton. I mean, that would seem like a great option. Now, the defense, I'm not sure how good they're going to be next year now that Von Miller is getting older. Bradley Chubb needs to stay healthy. But I would imagine that Denver makes the most sense. Do you think there's another sleeper team that could make the move for Bridgewater?
Uh, Let me think for a second. I don't think so. Maybe the Eagles. I can see the Eagles.
That makes a lot of sense. I didn't even think about them. Yeah, they only have Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz anymore. I'm not sure the Eagles are necessarily sold on Jalen Hurts, but they did trade down, so it looks like they're not going to necessarily take a quarterback. But I did not think about the Eagles. That's a good one. In my opinion, the Saints could be a sleeper team. I mean, they would make the move. I'm not sure the Panthers would want to trade Bridgewater back to the Saints, but I could see a scenario where somehow they would release Bridgewater and he'd go back to New Orleans. Because in my opinion, Taysom Hill, yeah, he got that big contract. Jameis Winston re-signed. But I still think they're in need of a quarterback now that Drew Brees retired. And Teddy Bridgewater did an excellent job in New Orleans. He was 5-0, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. New Orleans would make a lot of sense. He could go back to Minnesota, but again, he would have to be the backup under Cousins, and I'm not sure they would want to pay $21 million a year for a backup quarterback. Do you think what team or I should why do you think Teddy Bridgewater struggled in Carolina, Michael?
Supporting cast is the biggest thing.
Yeah, I mean McCaffrey only plays 3 games. I've been mentioning that a lot, but yeah, you can't play 3 games, or you can't miss 13 games and expect Bridgewater to be the same. Yeah, DJ Moore was not great. Robbie Anderson was pretty decent. Ian Thomas was underwhelming. I mean, that offensive line I would say was not good to say the least. I mean, that secondary was bad. Do you think Joe Brady isn't as good as an offensive coordinator as people have said that he is?
No, I personally don't think he's that great of an offense coordinator.
Do you think Joe Brady would fit, or do you think Joe Brady is the coach for the Bengals next year if things don't work out in Cincinnati with Zach Taylor?
I hope not.
So you don't, even though Joe Brady had a lot of success with Joe Burrow, you don't think that would be a great match?
Well, the thing is, I don't not necessarily. I think yeah, he has success with Joe Burrow, but I don't think he's necessarily the greatest coach out there. That's my biggest concern.
Well, I mean, Joe Brady last year won 5 games as an offensive coordinator and there was multiple teams interested in him. So it's a little intriguing to see what happens, because even if they don't have a good season this year, I expect him to possibly get more interviews. And I think he would be the best fit with the Bengals. But at the same time, I don't think he's as good as coach as people say. And maybe just because he was with Joe Burrow. But again, Joe Burrow was really nothing before Joe Brady. But time will tell, and we'll see what happens to the young offensive coordinator. Thanks for listening to the Sports Town Podcast, or the STP Pod for short. If you want to check out more videos of the Sports Town Podcast, click on the left. If you want to subscribe to the channel, click on the right.